Hello everyone, welcome to GB Bricks. In today's video I wanted to talk about some of my favourite sets of all time that are or were available for under £20. Now we all know if you collect Lego is very expensive, always has been to be honest. It just doesn't feel like it was back in the day. And I just wanted to show that there are some very good sets available, or have been in the past at least, that were available for a decent price. Now I have got some sets on here from when I was a kid, so nostalgia will play a part in this list. I mean, that's always the case, it's a very subjective thing of course, and even with those I have factored in inflation and they'll still come in well within the £20 budget or limit that I've set myself for this list. So which 10 sets are my favourite small sets, decently priced sets of all time? Well, let me show you. Coming in 10th place then is a relatively recent set. This is 76911, the 007 Aston Martin DB5. This is a Speed Champion set of course, one of the newer Speed Champion sets where they've gone to 8 studs wide as opposed to the original 6 stud design. And whilst I'm not the biggest James Bond fan, I've seen the vast majority of the films over the years, my favourite being Licence to Kill with Timothy Dalton in, with Goldfinger being a close second. I do like some of the Daniel Craig films, Casino Royale being a very good one, and this is a fantastic representation of the DB5 in Lego form. Now there was a creator set of course which was much bigger, and that's not a set that I've owned or really ever seen properly out of the box, but I do love this smaller representation. I think they've done a fantastic job of converting the iconic car into Lego form on a very small scale. The figure you get with it is okay, I don't think it really looks like Daniel Craig, but it serves its purpose. You can tell it's a James Bond type figure, and I do like the fact that they hid a gun in the set. You get an extra piece which was used for the exhaust, which can be used as like a Wolfer PPK, something that obviously James Bond is well known for using. A great set and just £19.99 RRP, albeit I got it for only £13 when I bought mine, although unfortunately it has retired. It retired at the end of last year. In 9th place then we have 40260, which is Halloween Haunt. Now I bought this set actually around Halloween a few years back. It released in 2017, so it must have been the year after that I would have thought. My wife and I, we always set ourselves a small budget for some bits to buy for Halloween to put about the house, and I remember picking this one up. It was £8.49 at lego.com, and I think I bought a couple of DVDs or something as well, horror films for us to watch in and around the night. This is a great little set, I really do like this. So you have almost like a diorama or a landscape far in the distance with that orange sun setting and an ominous looking castle in the background. You have the gates that open up to reveal it, and you have two minifigures, one being a Dracula type and another being a skeleton. You also get a cauldron and a few other small bits. I just like the design of this one. I think it's a very nice set. It's one that displays very well around Halloween if you're someone that does decorate the house for that particular occasion. And it's one I was very happy to pick up because chances are it's one of those that most people probably wouldn't have even known existed. And yeah, looking back on it now, it's actually one of my favourite small sets. Great price, great set. In 8th place then we've got 79102, which is Stealth Shell in Pursuit. Now whilst I have put a set here, this kind of stands for the whole of the Turtles Lego range that they did around about 2012, I think it was, maybe 2013, and I really did like the reinterpretation that they did of the Turtles show in 2012 with that CGI animated series. I watched a lot of it with my wife and then my kids over the years as they've grown up, and I wanted to put one of the sets on the list to represent them because I'm a big Turtles fan. I collect all things Turtles, not just Lego. And I went for this one in the end. This was a £20 set which included Raphael, one of the foot soldiers, and one of the enemies specific to that reinvention of the show called Fish Face, I think he was called. And you've got a vehicle for Raphael and a boat for Fish Face to be chased in as well. Now there were a few other sets that were around this price, cheaper in fact, that could have made the list instead. There was one with Michelangelo and Krang, and there was another one with Leonardo and Karai. I think they were chasing each other on motorbikes, or Leonardo was on a skateboard, something like that. Good sets, you know, nice little cheap pocket money sets. This one was obviously more expensive, coming in at £20 just about. They were about £8, £9 each. But I went with this one because you do get one of the exclusive enemies to that show. Raphael's a good character, albeit not my favourite. Leonardo is mine, and a couple of vehicles. So yeah, a decent set. I do wish that Lego would return to the Turtles theme but go back to the original 80s TV show. I don't think we'd ever get the original source material, the comics, in Lego form, but yeah, if they could go back to that first animated show and create Lego characters and sets out of that, that would be a dream come true. But as it stands, this is my set number 8. In 7th, we've got 70841, another set that might have passed people by. This is Benny's Space Squad, which comes from one of the Lego movies. I'm not sure which now, I think it was the second, but another great set that people might not even know existed if you got back into Lego late, or yourself a bit younger than I am. Most people are, but this is something that Lego used to do all the time, not necessarily with space, but they used to do just character packs, and over the years that seemed to morph and evolve into the battle packs we see now for things like Star Wars. And I do think that that's kind of meant that we've missed out on something that used to be quite prevalent and was really worth getting, and that's these just small packs for a decent price with a few figures in. These days the Star Wars tax seems to have bumped this up, and it's become something a bit different. But this set, you got 4 space figures in, one being Benny of course, and they were all in different colours, some of which I don't think you ever got classic space figures in otherwise. You got a couple of small vehicles, one land-based, one air-based, and a little droid as well. I mean, this set cost £8.99 in the UK, I believe. I remember picking one of these up right early on when it first came out, probably from somewhere like Amazon, and then I remember finding one in a toy shop called Hamleys that we got over here in the UK on sale. It must have been right towards the end before it retired, and I got it for about half that price. So it was about £4, which, you know, is a cracking price for a great little set. One of the best sets, in my opinion, to come out of that Lego movie range. In at number 6 then we've got 60150, which is the pizza van, and this is something that Lego do a lot these days. They do these vehicles through their Lego City range that have some sort of food motif. Recently we've had a burger van, you've had slushy vans and ice cream vans over the last few years. This is actually one of my favourites, and the reason for it, well, first and foremost, I just think it fits well, you know, a pizza van, and I liked the colour scheme of that yellow and dark red. I thought getting the small motorcycle or moped with it was a good choice. You could see this kind of sitting in an Italian city or town and having the van and then the mopeds. You've got a couple of figures there, one being obviously the owner of the van, and the other one either being a customer, or you could use them as perhaps someone delivering the pizza on their moped. But I like the fact that they didn't back then feel the need to put a whacking big piece of food on top of the van so people would know what sort of van it was, which is what Lego seem to do with these days, and it just makes it a bit more unrealistic. I appreciate it's in the city range, which is, you know, predominantly for kids, but I just don't think that's needed. I don't think it adds a lot to the overall aesthetic, and I think it looks a lot better when they didn't do it, hence this being one of my favourite small sets of all time. I've got mine on display still, and you'll have to excuse the fight scene going on. Michelangelo is trying to nab some of that pizza whilst fighting the Foot Clan. But yeah, this is a great set, and one that I obviously still display to this day. Then we've got 7595 Army Men on Patrol coming in at 5th place, and this was a set that almost got me back into Lego. This came out in 2010. Now, I bought a few sets in 2006 after, you know, years of being out of Lego, growing up and becoming a young man. And I bought some of the Lego Batman sets when they released, and then kind of fell back out of it again. And I remember seeing this set in a supermarket, I think it was Tesco, I might be wrong, doesn't really matter, and seeing it on the shelf, not knowing it was a Lego set initially. I liked Toy Story as a kid, the first film. This scene with the army men was one of my favourite scenes actually, you know, a good soldier never leaves a man behind, and grabbing the little plastic army man and helping him along. And I saw it, I was like, oh, that's nice, and then looked closer and was like, oh, that's Lego, that's very cool, you know. And I bought it, and it was only, again, I think it was $9.99, so well within budget for this, even with a bit of inflation. And I had it on display for years. Just thought it was a great little set, you know, very charming, very fun, very to the point in terms of the source material, and it's still one of my favourite sets to this day. Probably not just small sets, just set. I think it was such a clever idea. Again, back then you didn't, whilst it was better than when I was a kid, you didn't get the variety in colour that you do now. When I was a kid you had very little variety in Lego bricks and colours in general. And green was one that you never used to see back then other than on base plates. And to see these green army men Lego characters was great, and I had to pick this up. You get a Jeep or a van, and you get 4 figures, I believe it is, and they've got the little plastic bases to represent the fact that they are army men, which I thought was great. and a little stretcher to carry the injured soldier away. Yeah, great set. Well worth the money back then, although you're probably looking about 3 times that price these days if you want to pick it up on the secondary market. In 4th place then, we got Lego set 6814, which is the Ice Tunnelator. This came from the Ice Planet 2002 range, as it was called, which was one of my favourite sets as a kid. Now, this released in 1993, this range, this theme, and that was just about the time where I was obviously earning pocket money by then. I was, a young boy, obviously, but old enough to be doing jobs and earning pocket money. And I used to ride down on my bike with my dad to, again, Tesco's, funny enough, to another one back in North London where we lived, and pick up Lego sets when I'd saved up enough pocket money. And it was always these sort of sets that were they were about £3.50, and I couldn't find an official price for this one. I should have said I've been using Brickset for the prices for the RRPs, and this one I believe was about £3.49, so that's what I'm going to go with. And whilst there were other Ice Planet sets that would have qualified for this list and were equally as good, I loved the wheels on this one. They were very unusual for the time, and something that always drew me back to this set. I loved the figures with their like neon orange visors and pieces of equipment, chainsaws and what have you, skis, and even with the new character they created this year in the minifigures CMF range, which was based on Ice Planet, which I was so excited to see. I was left a bit disappointed because they changed the original design so much, and I don't think they actually are able to make that same orange colour anymore, which was one of the reasons for that design or redesign in the CMF character. But yeah, this was one of the sets I owned as a kid, and obviously nostalgia plays a big part in this one, as it should. That's what it's all about, and I loved this as a boy, and had it on my shelf, or on my windowsill as it was. And unfortunately I don't still have this one to this day. I don't know where it went. Maybe one day I'll pick it back up off eBay or something. But yeah, lovely set, and one I loved having as a kid. Into the top 3 now, and this is Lego set 6644, which was Road Rebel, another set that I bought with my pocket money as a kid. Another huge dose of nostalgia talking here, but I think this is a great set regardless of that, to be honest. I think it holds up very well. I used to love when Lego made the 4-stud wide cars. I wish they'd still do that to this day. Most of the time now they're 6 studs minimum, and I thought this was a fantastic set. You've got a small sports car with a trailer and a motorbike with one character. It's got the classic smiley face, which I really do love, and as much as I appreciate Lego has evolved and become more than it once was, I do miss the very classic Lego smiley face, and I find myself buying those off of Lego's pick and build service on their website, and just replacing the heads of characters in other sets to have that classic smiley face back. So going by Brickset, they only had an American RRP, so again I've equated that to about £3.49 UK money back at the time. I wish they'd bring back 4-stud wide cars with one minifigure and sell them for about £5. You know, these days the smallest set you're going to buy, the cheapest price you're going to pay is £8.99 RRP, and they're fine, but I wish they'd go back to classic 4-stud wide cars. Fiver a go with one minifigure. Yeah, I think that'd be great. But yeah, this is one of my favourite sets. I do still have it. It's in storage at the minute, and I noticed the other day actually that when putting it in storage, whenever that was a while back, I'd forgot to put the motorbike away, so I do have that in the house, but the rest is tucked away for now. But yeah, I love this set, and wish Lego would do more like these. Into the top 2 then, and in second place we've got 70411, which is Treasure Island. Now I remember seeing this set at Legoland. We'd been there for the day. 2015 this released, so back then my daughter would have been very young, my son wasn't born, and I remember picking this up. Now I think I said in a recent video, which I'll put a card to in the top right hand corner, I went through my biggest regrets in Lego, sets I wish I'd have bought which I didn't buy, and one of those was Barracuda Bay. And I said in that video that I had that in my hand at Legoland one time, and I picked something else up instead and bought something else. I thought it was a Jurassic Park set, but it wasn't, because those two sets never crossed in terms of date. I think it was this set. I think I looked at that, obviously very expensive, Barracuda Bay, saw this on the shelf and was like, I loved Lego Pirates as a kid. This is a lot cheaper. It's a lovely little set. It will purge the nostalgia and the urge to get another pirate set, and I think I bought this instead. Now, whilst I'm very happy I did, because I love this little set, it may have been the cause for me missing out on Barracuda Bay, which would have been a shame. But yeah, no, this is a lovely little set. So you get the island itself, which is very small. It's got a skull, and you can move the palm tree, which then lifts the skull up to reveal the hidden treasure. You get one of the Imperial Guards, and I had the Imperial Guard ship back in the day. Had the white and blue sails. I forget what it was called. I'll flash it up on the screen. But you also get 2 pirates and a few classic pieces. You get like a classic parrot, a classic cannon, and an alligator or crocodile piece as well. I think for this price, it was £17.99 when it released. I probably would have paid that because I got it from Lego Land and they don't sell lower than RRP. But so £18 for this set. I think it's a lovely little set. I've just recently put it away actually, which is what spurred me on to make this video. I needed to clear some space for a set that I bought recently, which was the 1960s Batmobile, which I have reviewed. Another card will be up there if you want to watch that. But I needed to clear some space and I had to put away some smaller sets, and this was one of them, I'm afraid. So I was like, right, before I do that, I'm going to take some footage of this set and a few others, and I'm going to make this video to honour these sets because they're lovely. They just take up a bit more space than I have to give at the minute. But yeah, this is a lovely little set, and yeah, it might have been that I missed out on Barracuda Bay for this. I have to double check the dates, but I've got a feeling it was, but I don't hold it against it. And in first place then, my favourite ever small set for under £20 was 31048, which was the Lakeside Lodge. Now when this released back in 2016, I remember seeing it and immediately buying it, which was because it reminded me of a set that I always wanted as a kid and never got, which was the Rocky River Retreat set 6552. Now I have, after the date of picking up the set I'm talking about right now, I have picked this set up on eBay, and I'm delighted to have this because honestly it was that one set as a kid that I always wanted, so I'm very happy to have it. But I will say that this set, Lakeside Lodge, is a great set in its own right and a fantastic reimagining almost of that classic set. It takes the small cabin from that set and repurposes it into something bigger, and it's a dollhouse where you can open it via the hinges. You've got one character sitting outside fishing, and it comes with a brick built moose or yak, I'm not quite sure which, apologies, you don't get those around where I'm living. And I have got it still, but it's in storage. I never liked that part of it. I thought that looked a bit off, but yeah, it's with it as well. You won't see it in the footage though. And aside from that, I just thought it was such a lovely little set, a lovely little closed set. I really do like, as much as I enjoy modular buildings, I really do like, there's something about those dollhouse style hinged buildings. It's very charming to this day. For the £19.99 that it cost back then, and I know I would have got it for cheaper than that because I got it off Amazon, it probably cost me about £15. This is a 3-in-1 set, so you can build it in other ways, although the other two never really interested me. It was this one that I always wanted, and one day, I'll tell you what I'd love to do with this is create more of a background with it, and a nice little diorama with a bridge, because the Rocky River Retreat had a bridge, which was one of the parts as a kid I always wanted it for, because I used to love bridges in Lego. I don't know why. But yeah, I'd love to make this a bit bigger and expand on its premise and include the bridge and some mountains or small rocky parts as well. But this is a lovely set. It looks great, and for the price it went for back then was well worth the money. So there you have it. There are my 10 favourite smaller sets of all time, all costing £20 or under, even when adjusting for inflation with some of the older sets. Yes, nostalgia does play a part, but as I said, of course it will. That's what Lego's all about. And even the sets I've picked that are for nostalgic reasons, I still feel they're very good sets and ones that I would happily buy today if I saw them on the shelf. Do let me know of your favourite sets for that price range. They can be new or old, or a nice mix of the two. Stick it all in the comment section below. Do feel free to watch some of my other videos. There's been cards up top in the corners as we've been going along. I've got playlists and all sorts there if you want to give it a watch, and feel free to subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. Take care, and until next time, happy building.